And we always tell each other that, like, even though this is really hard, it's not forever. It's not forever. And a lot of people don't believe me. They think, oh, you're married to somebody with a virtual life sentence. But Ryan and I go way back. When we first met, we were each other's first boyfriend and girlfriend. We were 14. And so I know exactly who Ryan is. And I know that I'm not going to ever give up on him, just like he wouldn't give up on me. And this life isn't easy. But it's worth it.
Speak your truth.
This is a tough call to listen to, because all of those thoughts, all of those memories are things that I myself had during my time being incarcerated, from not being able to spend time with my children, to realizing that I wasn't really spending time with them before.
I was that individual that took my family and my kids for granted. I was that individual who cared more about my friends and my happiness rather than theirs. Materialistically, I made sure they were always taken care of, but it's more than that. It's more of an emotional type of thing that a person really doesn't recognize when it's in front of their face. But when you're taken out of the equation, that's when it becomes real.
I'm not a bad person. I ended up in prison. I'm not from a broken household. I ended up in prison. I have an education. I ended up in prison. I'm a mother, a present mother. I still ended up in prison. I had a career path. I ended up in prison. So I want people to know and understand that those stereotypical norms of how people get to prison, and not because everyday things happen in prison to people who end up in prison, and unfortunate events take place in people's lives, play a factor in how people get there. I want people to know and understand that, because it wasn't until I was a good person in a bad situation that ended up in prison did I realize and understand that a lot of those people make up who is in prison.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from a prisoner at the Michigan Department of Corrections. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse it, this call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
There's so much that I want to say. It would take 4 or 5 phone calls with recording it at least, and then I still wouldn't have everything off my chest. I had to think of a lot of dirt and a lot of things and stuff I had already put out of my mind. I don't know. It's tough. I've lost my wife. I've lost one of my sons over this. I lost a daughter I really never knew that much anyways. I just got custody of. And all my property, pretty much everything I've ever owned, I've lost now. I've worked for my whole life for it. I've lost it. My father told me at a young age that time is the most valuable thing in this world, and if you waste it or it is taken from you, you can never get it back, not for any amount of money. If you ask me what I regret the most, it is not being there to take care of my mother and being an uncle to my niece. I was locked up 9 days before her 2nd birthday. I have been in prison for 10 years. I watched her grow up through pictures. I just want to be with my family, grow old, and die an old man in my bed. That would be the perfect end to my life. Thank you.
Person while being inside is all the deaths I've had to suffer. For my family not being able to be there for the memorial services or funerals. I guess it took me losing my mom to realize what I've been putting my family through for all these years, even the time that I was
time that I was free out there with what I was causing for heartbreak. I just not being able to help my family, you know.
For me, the hardest thing about being in here is the things that you lose. The time that you've lost, the special moments that you've lost, the experiences that you've lost over the years. Say, for instance, my son, his, first steps, first day of school, homework assignments, first girlfriend, them are things I'll never get back, never be able to be experienced with him. They're just gone. My mother, when she passed away, I don't get a chance to say my goodbyes. I don't get a chance to do none of that. So once the moments come and go and you're not part of them, you never get a second chance to experience them or be part of them again. So that's what I miss the most.
It kind of feels like in here there's really not much of a purpose. We're just waking up and going through the motions just to do it all over again tomorrow. A lot of us in here don't have a chance to get any words out there. We feel like we don't have a voice. So, this sounds like our voices are going to be heard.
All I'm doing is existing here. I'm not doing nothing more than existing. Feel like I'm dead to everybody, I guess you could say. We'd like for people to know that I'm still alive, and I would love to have some friends, And I'm not a total bad guy. I've just made a lot of mistakes in life. And I don't think that what I have done is enough reason for people to just forget that I exist and not even attempt to communicate with me at all. I like to think that I would forgive them if they did something, There's 1,000 little things I miss, But after a while, you just become numb to it all, and you block everything out. You really don't think about anything like the outside anymore. It's like a defense mechanism. Your body just blocks it out. The number one thing I miss most is my children. And the bad part is, when I was out there, though, I was more worried about me than I was them. Sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone, It's hard. They took me to a trip to the hospital Thursday. It's about 2.5 hours away. And it felt so strange going out into the real world. Well, I say real world, you know what I mean. And it was so odd because they took me to the city, and there's a college there next to the hospital, and just seeing everybody walk around and stuff. And then they took me in there in shackles and handcuffs, and everybody was just staring, and it just felt so uncomfortable. The guard stopped at KFC on the way back, and they parked in the parking lot, and they sit there and ate that food in front of me with me in the back seat, and it just hurt so bad, just sitting there watching them eat that food, and I got so depressed, and so I was just looking around, and I was thinking, man, if I could have anything out here right now, that all the stuff that I see that I ain't seen in so long, what would I want? And there was a broken bottle laying there in the grass next to the parking lot we was parked at, and I was like, and I all I could think about was how much I wanted that piece of glass from that bottle so I could cut myself. With all the stuff around me, to take in, all I could focus on was a little piece of glass. I just got so depressed, and I'm in the hole right now, and you'd think getting to get out and see other stuff would be a great experience, but it was just miserable. I mean, I was miserable in it, and I couldn't wait to come back to prison to get put back in the hole. That's all I could think about was, oh man. And on the way back, I just kicked back and I closed my eyes. I didn't even look at the trees or nothing. I just got so depressed. And what triggered it was them eating in front of me, I know. But it's just hard. Once you get in here, you become so numb to everything. It's good for me to actually think about something other than what I normally think about in here. And it feels good to be able to help you or whoever maybe this could possibly help. It makes me feel good to be able to contribute something.
I wish that the court system would have seen me and my mental illnesses, but Idaho don't see a mental illness as a problem, so they just send you to prison anyway. And they don't help you at all.
You never know how much you really miss having something to do until you don't have anything to do. You're absolutely helpless. Anything you want to do, you don't really have the power to do it. But right now, I'm happiest when I think of my kids. And the fact that after 9 years, they want to get to know me. Got a couple pictures. And that actually made me happy. Happier than I've ever been for quite a few years. More than 15, actually. I actually kind of think about things like this regularly. I'll be in the shower and just all of a sudden, think, man, I miss hot water. It's a cold water day. And then I'll stop and think about, what do I really miss?
Driving is what I miss the most. I know that may sound weird, but it's the freedom of just getting into a vehicle and just getting on the road and blowing the windows down and turning the music up and just feeling like the closest thing I could get to flying, to being free. Honestly, it's been a little uncomfortable. I didn't want you to judge me after I told you what was the hardest thing about being in prison for me, because I still feel like I have to think and act like a criminal in order to survive in here. And I don't want people to think that about me. I want people to trust me and to know that I'm a good person and to be able to talk to me and trust me with things that they have going on. I want to be a good friend. I want to be a good brother. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good person. And for me to have to admit that I still have to think and act like a criminal sometimes, even though that's not what I feel inside that I truly am, was really uncomfortable. I haven't had a lot of communication to where I could open up with a lot of people. It's not the safest place to just volunteer information when you're in prison. So basically, I'm real guarded.
Well, I
I'm the happiest when I am who I am and I don't hide it, and also when I'm with my other half. It's good to know that people out in society actually care about people in here.
It's a very lonely place in here. Yes, we live around other inmates and whatnot, but if you talk to individuals, they are just very, very lonely. You have to have hope in here. If you don't have hope, you will not survive. I did get out for 1 year when I was on parole, and it was so hard for me after being in for 7 years to adjust to society again. When I got out and I was on parole for that year, it was very, very difficult to follow their rules and their stipulations. And frankly, one of them even told me, my parole officer said that, well, you should be doing more time. You shouldn't be out on parole. And she said, I'm going to do my best to make sure you go back to prison. And she did. She put me back in here. So, you know, it's hard to really build up that empathy when you have so many things going against you. And I look back on the abuse that I had as a child, and I think, okay, yeah, it was pretty rough. The problem is now is they're warehousing us.
1 minute remaining.
And they're keeping us here longer than we need to be, and they're not giving us the help that we need to better our lives. It's scary to live in a private prison because you're in a prison where they want to make money. That's their main goal, and it's a multi-billion-dollar business.
Over half of the inmates in our prison systems are doing time for drug-related offenses and other non-violent crimes.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Locking everyone up is not the answer. The system as it stands is a total failure. Take the profit out of incarceration and make it profitable to rehabilitate.
Thank you for using GTL